Okay guys, here we are with the XK A1200. This is a super cool little EPO Foam FPV style plane. It does have stabilization on here and a few different modes. I'm going to go ahead and set it down and I'll talk about a few things on here. We're also going to kind of do a dual review on this as well. We're going to talk about this little mini cam. This is an all-in-one system on here as well. It's a JF-01 and I'll show you the link below in the description. You can check that out. Now I'll go ahead and pop the top for you. And we'll talk about EPO for a second. If you're new to airplanes, if you've never flown an airplane and you're thinking about getting one, this is a great one to start out with. It is a trainer or something you can move up to FPV later. They also have another version of this one available with an all-in-one camera system on there and everything you need to fly FPV except for your goggles. So pretty cool. This one, as it is by itself, is $127 on our friends over at GearBest. You can check that out in the link below. Now I'll show you a few cool things inside the frame here really quick. There is a button in here that will switch on and off the flight controller. That's your stabilization in there. It does not have a programmable flight controller, which would be nice, but maybe in the future. I stuck a little battery monitor voltage beeper inside here, so when we get low on the battery, I'll know it'll give us a beep. And this is a 2S 2000 milliamp battery in there. It should give us quite a long flight time. It boasts around 45 minutes, but I don't think we're gonna get that today. There is a kind of a mild light wind out in the field right now, and that's great because we really can get a really nice glide ratio out of this plane. It really does glide. Now, EPO Foam, by the way, if you don't know about it, it does have a really dense character to it. Way more dense than what you're gonna get with this other type of foam, like a coffee cup style foam. EPP, the other type of foam that's in airplanes, is very easy to break. You can use foam safe glue to bring it back, but bring it back to even better, even harder than it was before, more dense. So very nice foam, and it's really durable. So you got your pusher back here. It comes with two props. Very easy to put this one together, by the way. It was only 2 screws to put the whole thing together. One here and one here that holds the stabilizer in the back where the elevator is. Really simple to put together. I snapped the 2 wings together. There's a little snap inside there. And there's a piece of tape running along the top here just to give me a little extra security there. And I used just a little bit of hot glue on my FPV camera, which I'll go ahead and plug in for you. And we'll get recording some video. But pretty easy to set this little camera on there. Just a little bit of hot glue and I'm good to go. Hopefully that doesn't pop out in the way of my camera view. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the goggles and I'll find out which channel I'm on. Let's see here. Okay, we're already on. I'm gonna go ahead and start recording on my goggles. Remember guys, always take your goggles and position them away from the sun because you can mess up your goggles. Now one thing that I want you to know about, when you go to launch this, you're going to be in stabilization mode, so it's going to feel like the plane is fighting you as you're trying to fly it up. When you let go of your right stick, it's going to right itself, so it's going to look like it's doing this a lot when we first launch it. So don't freak out, it's not trying to fly it into the ground, it's just fighting you as you're going up and letting go of the stick. So keep that in mind when you do launch. So all of our switches are up in the up position. Now I'm going to go ahead and launch. You see how it kind of flies down a little bit, down and up. Now if I take stabilization off and fly it like a normal RC airplane, I can move on any of the axes. So that'll let me do loops and all that good stuff. It does a big, nice, long loop. So if you try to do a loop, make sure you have a nice altitude. Okay, do you see that? I pushed the stabilization button and we went right back into 6G stabilization. So I cut the motor completely right here and we're just kind of gliding along. It's a really nice glide ratio, really beautiful. It probably has just as good of a glide as one of my favorite, all-time favorite airplanes, the Radian glider. Really, really nice glide ratio on that one. And I still have no motor. I'm still gliding across the field. You can also take off on that little wheel. It has a little tiny wheel right in the front of the plane, And if you have some nice short grass, you can take off in the grass. So you have ailerons, elevator, and rudder on here as well. And I'm still flying in stabilized mode. I'm going to take that off for a second so I can make a nice big sweeping turn. And it's not fighting me with the gyro. And now I can do loops much easier. Now I can do a little tighter rolls without that stabilization on there. But it's not really an aerobatic plane, so I wouldn't really try to fly it in aerobatic mode. Now I did do a bench test with this plane to find out what it would do if it flew out of range. And what happens is you still have stabilization on the plane. When you cut the radio completely off, you still have stabilization, but the motor cuts. So it'll essentially glide in and land at some point. If you put a little GPS locator on it, then you could go and find your plane, and it's likely not to have too much damage. So I'm just going to cut the motor there for a second and bring it down close in front of us here. See how it's, when I let go of the stick, it rights itself. So I'm kind of coming around. I'm going to come in and probably land right at my feet here. And I'm going to show you something with the gyro system on here. Look how slow that plane can fly. That's amazing. So right here at my feet. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was a little bit of stabilization on here. This is some basics of stabilization. Set my remote down. So if the plane tilts over to the left, your aileron on the right should come up. If I tilt to the right, the left aileron should come up. If I tilt the nose down, the elevator should come up. And when I tilt the nose up, it should go down. It has a little stabilization on the vertical stabilizer, but not a whole lot. So let's go ahead and give it a toss real quick and go back up. This time I'm going to turn off the stabilization and do a regular launch. Here we go. I do need some more up trim on that when I'm flying in that mode. If you have your plane trimmed correctly, it should fly straight when you let go of the sticks. Okay, so I'm going to go back into stabilization. Now if you're trying to do FPV for the first time with a plane, stabilization is really, really nice, because what it does is it lets you just go up there and cruise. You set your throttle, leave your throttle alone, and just use your right stick to kind of cruise around. You can fly this plane at a low cruise and just kind of look around. It's kind of nice to FPV like that. And I can cut all the way back to almost pretty much quarter throttle with this plane, with the way the wind is today. If you have a little bit more wind, you're going to want to use more throttle to probably fight a headwind. But it's a great trainer if you're looking for a plane that's going to be a trainer plane. Even if you didn't want to FPV it, this plane is great for that, and it's durable. And if you crash it, you can always use some foam safe glue on this one. It'll be stronger than it was before. So I'll cut the motor. And I'm just letting the stabilization take over there. Look at that glide. No motor whatsoever. Really nice. And I'm interested to see how long I can get with that battery. I could probably, I'm sure I could get above 20 minutes battery flight time out of this 2000 milliamp. It really does glide awesome. Look at that. Still no motor, I'm just spiraling down. That's so cool. The gyro took effect as soon as I powered up. It kind of jerked a little bit to keep it level. Just gonna take it up again, and I'll cut the motor. I got the wind at my back a little bit here today. And nice and high, there we go. Really nice. And it doesn't have a lot of stall characteristic, which is really nice. Really doesn't want to stall. And that's interesting that this wing is so efficient, because it's not really a dihedral wing. It's a pretty flat level wing, and so I thought right out of the box we were going to have a really fast plane. But with the power system that's on here, it really is kind of subtle and really smooth, easy to fly. It's not overly aggressive. So it does have 3 modes on here as well that you can play around with. It has 6G stabilization on here, which comes along on other XK models. Now what would really be nice on this airplane is a little long range setup. There's a new module coming out from Eagle Tree, and you can put a little mini long range flight controller on here with return to home, GPS, and all that good stuff. I'm not sure if it'll fit on this plane yet, but we'll find out. I don't plan on getting rid of this plane. I plan on keeping this one. And for the price, $127 on GearBest, like with a controller and a battery and everything you need to fly with a charger, all that, I've got to say like 5 stars on this one. Everything about this plane is awesome to me. I think that the servos could be a little better, a little bigger maybe, but if you really wanted to, you could maybe put some new servos on it, but I wouldn't really worry about it. I would just fly what's on it, because again, it's not an aerobatic plane and you don't need really expensive or high-tech servos on here, or metal gear or anything like that. I'm just cruising. And I'm hands off right now, and look at that. It's just cruising. Stabilization. I'm gonna bring it back around a little bit. Nose up. If I let go of the stick, see, watch this. You see how it moves like that, and back to stable. And I push the nose down and let go, and it levels. It's really cool. And so I'm still flying right now with no motor. It's just gliding. Push the stick up and it levels itself. A hard turn, I'm losing a little more altitude. And I still have battery, folks. So this battery really does last quite a long time. I just take myself up to a good altitude and I cut the battery, or cut the throttle, and it saves a lot of battery life. So I just go up there and cut the throttle and cruise. Definitely gonna add some Eagle Tree on here and play around with that miniature Eagle Tree that's coming out. I'll have to put a link down below for you for Eagle Tree's website, so you can check that out if you're interested in that, for the more experienced pilots. And this one is compatible with other transmitters as well. You could put a different receiver in this. Looks really cool in the air. It's about a 3-inch prop on the back. It does come with an extra prop, which is nice, but you're not likely to break any props when you belly land this one, because props up high and in the back. So the design of this plane, like I said before, it's really nice for beginners. Kind of a little tail slide there in that turn. I like flying this one a lot. I don't have a lot of airplanes, but this one does fly really, really nice out in the field. And it's small enough that you can fly it in a small park or even a baseball field. You could land this one in a really short runway. Look at that. Look how slow it's going in front of me here. It's almost hovering. It's amazing. Look at that. It's got to be going like a few miles an hour. So really soft landing, really easy to land, and it will take off on its belly. It might be kind of a high grass right here to try that, but I might try it anyway. see if I can get it going. If not, I can understand that, the high grass. Here we go. No, probably not enough room, but that's okay, guys. We're gonna end the review right here. Thanks again for hanging out for this review of the XK A1200. Super cool little FPV plane, and it comes in 2 versions. Like I said, I'll show the links down below. Thanks again for hanging out, you guys, and also checking out this little mini cam. I'm Justin Davis. We'll see you on the next one.